Now, you think to yourself, you say, what is it that sort of positivists are attempting to do, right? What is it that they are trying to change, or better yet, trying to contribute? So the three contributions, the first thing that they contributed was what's known as the principle of verifiability, just with verification. Right? The principle of verification, the principle of verifiability, the same thing. And what does this say? Well, it basically says that all propositions, in order for them to have meaning, all propositions, and actually I should write this down, all propositions, in order for them to be meaningful, must be reducible to fact, must be verifiable. Right? All propositions, in order for them to be meaningful, must be reducible to fact, right? They have to be verifiable. In my last discussion on Hume's fork, the example was the synthetic a posteriori, right? The synthetic a posteriori, which is the cat is on the mat, right? So you have your little kitty, there's a little kitty cat, and little kitty cat is on the mat. So yeah, positivists don't have a problem with that claim, right? The cat is on the mat, fine. Positivists say, sure. Well, the first contribution is that, well, in order for something to be meaningful, in order for something that makes sense, it must be the case that whatever proposition is being stated, that proposition has to be verifiable in experience. And the only caveat being in principle or in practice, right? That too becomes more advanced than an introduction to positivism. But the proposition in principle or in practice, in order for it to be meaningful, has to be reducible to fact, right? The claim has to be reducible to the facts. The statement, the cat is on the mat, has to be reducible to the fact that the cat is in fact on the mat. No problem. Oh, and just a quick aside before I move on. What's interesting about positivism also is that, and this is not to detract from the uniqueness of it, but a lot of the concepts which came together to formulate the concept of, or the school of thought, the Vienna Circle to be technical, but the school of thought which governed positivists were from other disciplines in philosophy and previous philosophers. Hume talks about this, right? And we've already talked about Hume. They take it a little bit farther than Hume, right? And Hume got that from Kant, and that's why I gave you the historical account, because this is the next logical progression of the baton being passed, right? Well, the next contribution is, again, to be honest with you, from Hume as well. And I'm just now thinking that, I'm like, yeah, you know, a lot of this has come from Hume. There are contributions, but a lot of this is from Hume. The second contribution, as we've recognized, is that, well, someone might say, for example, well, you logical positivists have a problem, right? Because I can make the claim that I made in the discussion on Hume's fork, that a bachelor is an unmarried man. The truth of that proposition is itself not verifiable in experience, right? It is true by definition. If you make the argument that the proposition, in order to be meaningful, has to be reducible to verification, and I say, well, hey, what about a bachelor being an unmarried man? See, I showed you that's not verifiable. I don't need to verify that in experience, because that claim is an analytic a priori claim. Well, they've already thought of that, right? Which you have to give them credit. Analytic a priori claims, in the Humean sense, are tautological. They're tautological, right? So it's the claim that A equals A. And they don't have a problem with that, right? As Hume didn't have a problem with that. Hume says that analytic a priori claims are tautological claims, and they don't have any. They have meaning, but they don't have the same meaning that principles of verification have. They're consistent, right? They're necessarily consistent, right? They're tautological. So they don't have a problem with tautological claims. Also, which is a misunderstanding, and people will say this as an attempt to disprove positivism, they'll say generalizations can't be verified in experience. So for example, all sisters are female, right? Or all mothers are female, or all brothers are male, or all dads are male, whatever the claim is. The fact that I'm saying all, right? So this is a subset of this, right? These would be, so the first point is tautologies have been accounted for, but also generalizations. Specifically, universal generalizations have also been accounted for, right? The point is that the critique, or the attempt to critique the positivist, is that you cannot verify in experience all. I can't verify the generalization, the universal generalization. All I can verify is some brothers, my brother, your brother, so on and so forth. I can verify some brothers, which is known as the existential instantiation, the specific instantiation of this concept, right? All brothers are male. So I can verify, there wouldn't be a problem at all on positivist grounds verifying existential instantiations. There would be, arguably, a problem verifying universal generalizations, but they said that's not a problem, right? Because I see a brother, and I see another brother, and I see a collection of brothers, and from this collection of brothers, and from the collection of all of them being male, I can then infer, through inference, use of inference, I can then infer the all, right? So that's not a problem, right? All we're saying when we say all is that based on my repeated experience of brothers, based on my repeated experience that all of these brothers also happen to be male, I can then be justified, quote, and that's important, I can then be justified in making the claim that all brothers are male, and that's not a problem either, right? Because the claim that all brothers are male is itself justified and verified within experience. So tautological statements don't have any problems. A bachelor is an unmarried man. And generalizations, universal generalizations, aren't a problem either for the logical positivists. Now, that's a pretty key contribution, right? The beginning point is more Hume. This is more logical positivists, and the rest I'm not going to get into the name dropping, but that's a good point. And then the last contribution, and something only philosophy junkies like myself really address, is why I'm still fascinated and why I still read logical positivists, because for all practical purposes, people believe that positivism is dead, right? There is no need to talk about positivism for, the ongoing feud between them and other fields of study, but I'm still extremely fascinated with positivist contributions. The third being the recognition that philosophy, Philosophy, philosophy should not actually construct, should not construct systems, right? Philosophy should not construct systems. It should be a tool of analysis. All right? It should be a tool of analysis. What philosophy really is, right? This isn't like the systems of the past, right? This is not like Descartes' system or Locke's system or infamously Spinoza's very complicated system. It's not like some of the German idealists, right? Philosophy shouldn't be in the business of making systems, right? What philosophers do proper, what the best and the brightest of philosophers do, they don't construct the system, right? You're not going to hear the philosophers saying, hey, I've now devised my system of X, Y, Z, and it will interpret and explain the universe and all that other stuff. What philosophers do is we use philosophy as a scalpel, right? A very, very precise instrument to analyze and dissect, to critique and to buttress and to defend and justify argument, right? And analysis. And as I said, being sort of a meta-analysis or a meta-descriptive account of reality. The logical positivist is a tool of analysis. What the logical positivists do is analyze some of the conclusions and findings that scientists have made, right? What logical positivists attempt to do is not to describe reality directly, but to analyze the scientific description of reality, right?